Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, I'm going to be showing you the new TETON Sport tent cot and accompanying cot. This is the XXL, I believe it's called the XXL Outfitter cot. It's 40 inches wide across one side to the other of the canvas. It's plenty comfortable for two people. They market it as a single person cot and a single person tent. And I don't know too many people that need 40 inches to sleep on when they're camping. But if you do, it's a great cot for you. I will speak to those that actually prefer to have two people inside of it. And I will say that there's still plenty of room for two people. It's plenty comfortable to hold two people in either this cot or inside of the tent inside. So if there's anyone who has any questions about that, done it before, it works great. The actual tent itself has got this kind of like mosquito mesh netting at the top. It's all covered in that. The door's that. It works great. The outside piece here, I'm going to focus on that and talk about my complaints with this setup here. This is not good. This is not a good design. This was not thought out well, and it didn't pass, I would say, sufficient QA. And here's the problem with it. It looks like it's supposed to guard you from rain. That's usually what these do on top of tents. This is totally ineffective in its design to be able to do that. Rain is going to come down from the top here. It's going to fall down to the bottom. It's going to catch here, and it's going to go underneath it, right? That's how this works. I've done this. I've only used both of these once. I used them both during a camping trip when it rained, and it wasn't a great experience. We actually left early. What's going to happen is the water will catch here, and it'll pool up underneath, because you're going to have the weight of one body, up to 600 pounds, or two people, much more likely. And as it pools up, you're going to feel like a waterbed build up. I mean, you have this really, really thin, light camping material here, and underneath it you have this tarp, and the end result is that you really do have a water barrier. You have a water pool underneath it. Now you can take your hand and you can make a swiping motion like that. Let's turn that off. That didn't work. Make a swiping motion, and you can actually knock that water out on the other side of the cot, but you'll never get it right. You'll never get it perfect. Even if you get all that water out and you spend time wasting, as you move all the water through, it's still going to be cold and uncomfortable. And here's the killer. This was what really bothers me. To fix this problem, all they would have had to do is to extend this cheap tent cover an extra foot. If it came down here, right? If it came down and draped over the top like a bed cover does, you'd never have any of these problems. You really wouldn't. It would be a setup that would be ready to go anywhere. So my advice to TETON would be to QA these products and make sure that this type of thing is thought out. It's a product that's really only useful if you have a cot. They argue that this tent could be useful for one person outside of a cot, but you'd pay a high premium for it. I mean, it costs you more than a 6-person cot by Coleman. It's still reasonably priced because it's really quick to assemble. It's a really good tent. I don't have any arguments about it. I just simply say that for the application on the cot, which is why the vast majority of people I think will buy this tent, it is not effective at all in the rain. So that's my caveat. I want to show you a little bit about the cot too. If you look down here, you're going to see rust marks, right? They're there. See that? That's a rust mark. It's not a scuff. Inside there, those are all rust marks. They're not scuffs. You might see a little bit of reflectivity, but it's deceptive. They're all brown. Over here, also brown. The thing just rusted. I mean, only after one use. I want to come underneath it and show you one other thing that kind of bothers me. That was a rivet right there, right? That's how they hold these together. You have one block of rubber. You have two braces on both sides, and they rivet right through it. And it seems like that might work, right? But it doesn't. It's really a bad idea. What they should have done is they should have simply wrapped around the block of rubber and the two braces with a piece of metal, and they should have torqued it down with like a clip or something of that sort. And that would have held it together much better. So you're going to see here, actually you're not going to see it, but the block now can come out. I'm not all that worried about it. I plan on just putting some glue inside of it to hold the block in. And later what I'd like to do is actually implement my own idea, which was simply to torque those two pieces down with metal. So, rather, together with metal. And I think that would solve that problem. So if you're going to get this cot, it works out really well. There's no problems with it whatsoever. I think that, I don't believe it's going to hold 600 pounds. I think that claim is a little bit marketing and, a little overly ambitious. I think that I would say it would hold 400 pounds quite well. Two bodies that are 200 pounds apiece, maybe one 400-pound guy. I simply don't buy that 600 pounds safely. But be careful with the rusting. And also, if you're going to use it outside, spray it with rust guard first. All these rivets are rusting, which is really concerning to me because one of them broke off before it even had the ability to rust when we first took it out there. So now I would say that the integrity of all of the rest of the rivets are in question, at least, you know, in my amateur view of how rivets work. And I'd be a little bit careful with it. And the top thing is that this tent here is not at all functional on top of the cot in the rain. So be a little bit careful with that. It's going to get wet underneath. And shy of that, both of these two units come with carrying bags. Carrying bags are done really well. Here's one of them. That's the TETON tent carrying bag. And when it's packed, I think the whole thing weighs together like 5 pounds. It's really light. You could easily hike, you know, I don't know, 5 miles with it, 10 miles with it, whatever you want. It's a 5-pound bag. Here's the bag for the Outfitter XL cot. It's huge. Not a problem. The cot itself is huge. Just keep in mind that this cot is going to be substantially more heavy than most other sleeping tools you could bring on a camping trip. It's going to be way heavier than an air mattress. It's huge. It's like a like a shoulder bag type thing, but it doesn't really hold too well on your shoulders, so you're going to carry it with one hand. I wouldn't want to park more than a mile away or a half mile away from where you were camping with it, at the absolute most. These two tools are great for trunk camping. Keep them both in your trunk. When you're ready to go, pop them both out. 10 minutes, you're all set up. 10 minutes later, you can tear them all down. Rather, in 10 minutes' time, you can tear them all down. Just don't take it when it rains, and you'll be good. Shy of that, I think I've answered quite a bit about the cots, and 2 people can fit in them. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them for you. Thank you.